Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, know your nation, know yourself. All right, so it is another Friday Fry-Up, and you can see here I'm back with my microphone, and I've got the comments just coming up here on the side. I'm going to try not to tap on the table too much because it is a very sensitive microphone, but it means I can just keep my voice quite relaxed without straining my voice too much. So I'm just back from tennis, so that's got me nice and warm, and I am ready for the show. So I have your questions in, but of course one of the main things that we need to address are of course the emails. Pardon me, the new Epstein emails that have been released. I think the Democrats came out with 3 or 4, and then they just decided to try and do a little Steve Bannon-Steiny flood the zone kind of jobby wob, isn't it? And it's not quite worked, has it? We have certainly learned a lot more. Look, it's stuff we've always known, and as you guys know, we've been predicting all of this stuff. I've been doing my readings. You will remember, God, it's ages ago now, but months ago, I said, listen, do you remember that card reading I did? I said, Ghislaine's going to be moved. I said, her situation's going to be changing. And I said, she may even get her sentence sort of like the rest of it kind of excommunicated. That's not the right word, but you know, they commute the sentence or what have you. They'll go, well, you know, she's been a few years behind bars, you know, for good behavior and all this, that, and the other. You know, she's now, doing yoga classes. She has her new puppy. Apparently, she's able to take visitors and get electronic stuff. So she's basically on a kind of the equivalent of a resort, Club Med type thing. Said it would happen. But also as well, we're going to look a little bit as well at Trump's chart. As you guys know, I have been saying for ages. Do you remember I said when Jupiter becomes exalted, it is going to stand right on top of Trump's natal Saturn in the 12th house. And the 12th house deals with what? Losses, endings, foreign lands, the land of far, far away. Jupiter is known as a generous planet. And what was the land of far, far away that benefited from the largesse of Jupiter? Yes, you know, it was Argentina to the tune of 40 billion. He is currently as well doing things, in the seas. Yeah, 12th house also deals with ocean seas. I also associate with coastlines and islands. What has Duck L'Orange been doing? Yeah, it's been blowing up fishermen in the Caribbean. Yeah, been blowing up fishermen in the Caribbean. In fact, let's just get his chart. I was going to save it for later, but since I'm on the topic, and then I'm going to dive into your questions. I've got some of your questions here, so we can address some of those. But let's just do a bit of the old astrology. Because I always like to do a little bit of astrology with you guys on the Friday show when it's just us. You know, we can just dive into a little bit of this stuff, and I know I thank you guys as well for all of the support as well, because I know you guys like it when I blend the astrology with the tarot. But we see it really is, it's very accurate. It's very accurate. All right, so let's get Duck L'Orange's chart up. See if he's here. No, he's not. Let's do open. Let me know if you can see the screen, guys, because I like to see myself when I'm presenting. Let's do politics. Is it politics? And then I'll put here Donald. There we are. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. So here's his chart. I'm just going to move the screen just so, oh, good. I can see myself now. And the microphone is working. All right, you guys know this Trump chart very, very well. I've been digging through this for ages, making my predictions. And we have seen how this has started to play out. So for those that are new, because there are many of you that are new, so this is Donald Trump's chart. Trump was born on the 14th of June, 1946 at 10:54 a.m. Jamaica, not the country, New York. Yeah, that's where he was born. And that makes Duck L'Orange a Leo rising. Of course, yeah, with Mars in the first house, the warrior, he sees himself as the king. Yes, Duck L'Orange sees himself as what? The warrior king. But if I draw your attention over here, you will see he has a stellium of 3 planets in the 12th house. Now, the 12th, a stellium is 3 or more planets in one sign. Some people stipulate that it needs to be 4, but really 3 or more will do it. What planets does he have there? He has Saturn, he has Venus, he has Pluto. Yeah. So what is Pluto? Oh, sorry, what is the 12th house? As you heard me say before, I refer to the 12th house as the land of far, far away. It means to cross an ocean. It means coastlines. It means islands. Yeah. Isn't that relevant, isn't it? Particularly when you're friends with Epstein. Yeah. It means isolation. It can also mean endings, retirement, exile. Also deals with prisons and hospitals. Yeah. And it also deals with addictions and bed pleasures and hidden enemies. Yeah. So if you think of Duck L'Orange, yeah, and his life, think how that is all playing out. He has Saturn here in the 12th house. 12th house is what? Governments. Yeah, governments. It's also big business. So he's got what? The planet of governments in the 12th house. Foreign governments. Secrets with foreign governments. Hidden enemies with foreign governments. All starts to make sense now, doesn't it? The 12th house I also refer to as a house of trade. Why? It deals with imports and exports. Why? Because it's the oceans. And if you think of it, the majority of goods that we receive in the world are still what? Delivered by boat. That's why whenever we post anything, we still refer to it as shipping. As we know, this is why the Suez Canal and the Straits of this, that, and the other are still so important, yeah, for global trade routes. Because the majority of stuff we still get in terms of goods and services, of course, is by boat. And what has Trump been doing since his second term? Yeah, even more so than the first. He's been doing what? Tariffs, which also is what? International waters, imports, exports. You'll see here he has this all together with Pluto. Pluto is what? God of the underworld. Pluto, particularly when we're talking about politics, will show where the corruption is. We all have Pluto somewhere in our charts. So Pluto, we have to integrate that energy in order to become masters of ourselves or to become shamanic. Yeah, often referred to Pluto as the shamanic planet. But Pluto, of course, particularly when you're talking in the realms of Duck L'Orange and stuff, can deal a lot with corruption. Yeah. Sexploitation. That's not an official word. It's a word I use, but it's a catch-all term for all of that kind of trafficking and all of that stuff going on. So you can see here, oh, what's been confirmed recently in the emails, yeah? International trafficking. But what has Trump been trafficking? Oh, look, there's a little clue here. Venus. Venus deals with the significant women in our life. In a man's chart, Venus is the wife. As we know, of Trump's 3 marriages, 2 of them were to foreign women, weren't they? Yeah. We had Ivana. I can't remember the American one. Sorry, her name's gone out of my head. And we have Melania. So you see here, the wife is from a faraway land. You see the logic? But remember, I said this can also deal with imports and exports. Pluto is sexploitation. 12th house is also bed pleasures. Venus deals with women, but younger women in particular. Ooh, all gets a bit real, doesn't it? We know that he's been what? Trafficking women, particularly those on the younger side. Some of them were just girls. You see how the astrology works? It all comes together. You'll see down here where it says TR, that means transits. This is where the planets are right now, sidereally. As you know, I do sidereal astrology, which follows the true placements of the stars. Yeah, so when you take those apps, you know, when you've got those apps and you look up in the sky to see where the planets are, it's accurate to those. So it's NASA, basically. Not that there's not any question marks around the morals of NASA, but that's a whole nother debate. But anyway, it's sidereal, follows the movement of the stars. And you will see that Saturn and Neptune are currently in sidereal Pisces, and they're there with Ceres and Chiron. This is why we're seeing a big problems with government. Saturn is the planet of government. Neptune deals with illusions and delusions, but I always say wherever Neptune is, there is salt water. Neptune is known as the great dissolver. Saturn is government. Rules, regulations, discipline. Have you been noticing how globally governments seem to be kind of falling apart a little bit? Yeah, look at France. Yeah, they're on their, what, third prime minister in, I don't know, what is it? I think they've had 6 prime ministers in less than 2 years. Yeah, look at this Trump regime. You see how they're, what, breaking the rules? Everywhere. He's just what, tearing down, he's just tore down the east wing of the White House, yeah, building something there that was definitely against the rules. Didn't listen at all, did he? So there's a global breakdown in rules. This is also a difficult combination for Russia, as you've heard me mention before. Last time Saturn and Neptune were together, I think it was at the fall of the Berlin Wall. Yeah, and look what happened then. Yeah. But you will notice sidereal Pisces for all Leo ascendants is the 8th house. And you know, I refer to the 8th house as the house of what? Sex, death, and rock and roll. This is why I said the Epstein stuff will not be going away. Do you remember months ago, I said, guys, this is not going to go away. And people were like, well, you know, MAGA, they kind of keep falling back in line. Have you noticed it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going, because Saturn is the planet of karma and accountability, and it's going through Trump's 8th house. And there's still 2 years to go. I don't think this guy is going to be able to endure the full transit, this full Saturn transit. He's 79, he's almost 80 now, and this is a lot. This is a lot of karma. Also as well, from the 8th house, Saturn by his 3rd aspect will be looking at Trump's 10th house, which is the career. Wherever Saturn looks, there is pressure. If he's looking at his friends, which are Mercury and Venus, he'll be helping them out. But if he's not looking at his friends, that's a lot of pressure. And Saturn does not like the sun, because technically Trump is actually a Taurus sun sign. Only by 1 day. If he was born, I would say 6 hours later, something like that, maybe even less, because the sun in his chart is at 29 degrees 49 minutes, and it changes at 30. So it's only, what's that, 21 minutes off. So I'd say about 6 hours. He was born later, it would have swapped over, something like that, and he would have technically been a Gemini sun sign. This is what I refer to as a blended sun. But Saturn will be looking, Saturn is the planet of what? Accountability. Jupiter, if you see here where TR, the current transits, you see here Jupiter sits at 0 degrees and 54 minutes, currently going retrograde. But look at Trump's Saturn at 0 degrees 42 minutes. Do you remember I said the next 7 weeks will be crucial for Duck L'Orange? Because he's got Jupiter, the planet of enlightenment, sitting on his 12th house, exalted in the sign of Cancer. What's enlightenment? Yeah, everyone begins to see, everyone begins to understand, everyone starts waking up. Yeah, everyone is starting to wake up now about Duck L'Orange. Ooh. Yeah, it took some serious slaps around the face for certain demographics to wake up about this man. But they're waking up now, aren't they? Yeah. A lot of people threw their weight behind Trump, and they deeply regret it now. So here we have Jupiter on top of Trump's Saturn. And do you remember I said there's going to be issues for him in regards to his health will begin to deteriorate. Look at, he can barely string a sentence together now. shuffling around, and then he's can't face press meetings. Yeah, has to leave the room. He's been giving money to foreign lands. Remember, 12th house is also losses. It has a lot to do with debts. He's just been giving away everyone's cash, but throwing parties. Yeah, a lot of people have been not having food. Yeah, he's opened the government again, but I'm not sure if the snap is back and up and running yet. Yeah. For all Leos, Jupiter is actually quite a tricky planet. He gives some blessings in the 5th house, especially in regards to children and stuff, but he becomes the lord of the 8th house, which means for all Leo rising, Jupiter can be quite a tricky planet. If the person's spiritual, they bring out the virtues of the 8th house, but Trump can't even hold a Bible the right way up. Yeah. So what do you think's happening? Yeah, as here Jupiter is squatting on his Saturn, which is also the lord of the 6th house of battles, and the 7th lord, which deals with open enemies, court cases, relationships, marriage. Yeah. Saturn, lord of the 6th house of health, battles, and the 7th house of relationships, goes to the 12th house, which is what? The secret house of bed pleasures. But transiting Saturn is going through his 8th, exposing everything, putting pressure on the sun. Also by opposition, putting pressure on Trump's Neptune, Jupiter, and Chiron. So his old wounds are reawakening. And then Saturn has a backward square as well. Yeah, backward square. So he's looking at his 5th house, which deals with children, but it's not just children, it's also our creativity, what we do for the love of it, fun. Now this, do you remember I said on or around the 18th of October, I said this is when this pressure would really start to come to bear, and that's when we of course had the No Kings March as well. Remember, October 18th, right when Jupiter began to sit on Trump's Saturn. He's got about another 4 weeks of this, then it will retrograde into sidereal Gemini. And then it will, let me just stop the share. And then it will go back into sidereal Cancer on the 1st of June, 2026. And then soon after that, it's going to be America's 250th birthday. And do you remember when I was looking at the French Revolution, I said, look, when I looked back at the French Revolution, Jupiter was exalted. So it means people are getting enlightenment and awareness around all things to do with food, security, family. And that's part of why they revolted, because they didn't have enough food. And you saw how he cut all the snap. It was still up and running, but the air traffic controllers, all of that stuff, trying to pin it on the Democrats, not quite working though, is it? So do you see how this works? This is, that's why I said for Dark Orange, the next 7 weeks are crucial. The economy is tanking, by the way, but they're still playing music on the Titanic. Yeah, they're not wanting to talk about it. But anyone who's going to the shops, anyone who's got a friend who's lost a job, the job cuts are in the millions, guys. I was watching a YouTube the other day and I was just like, this is just ridiculous. Yeah. Well, all these data centers go up here, draining all the water, polluting everything, getting rid of everyone's jobs. How are people going to buy things? How are they going to buy the billionaires' stuff if they don't have jobs? Do you see how crazy these people are? They are lunatics. They're even crazier than Trump. And that is saying something. But, you know, I said that for the longest. I said the people around him are even worse. But, you know, Epstein didn't even have any good things to say about Trump, didn't he? Said he didn't have a good cell in his body. That's quite an indictment, isn't it? When it's coming from, you know, international pedophile extraordinaire, doesn't have a good word to say about you. Oof. Wow. Anyway, so I'm going to read some of your questions. And then let's just see. So people are saying, yeah, Marvel's saying Republicans never think past their noses. Yeah, they're just so ridiculous. Kate says, Kate Dryad says he likes that place in El Salvador. Yeah, should be there. Carly said, I asked the same question. Teresa says, I hope they don't send into the islands with the penguins. They did nothing to deserve it. What's this? It's amazing, isn't it? Was amazing, isn't it? Wants 600,000 Chinese all of a sudden, and also wants to bring in foreign workers from Mar-a-Lago so he can take advantage of them. Yeah, these guys, they're just absolute hypocrites. These billionaires are crazy. Oh, thank you, Helene. Thank you so much for becoming a new member. I hope you enjoy those videos. You'll see the little video I did recently on Mamdani, yeah? How the billionaires are freaking out about him. What's this? Nathan says, Hogarth, did you hear about Trump blowing Bubba? Putin having pictures of it blowing Bubba? Who's Bubba? What, is Bubba one of his drivers or something? Blowing Bubba, Putin having pictures of it per Mark Epstein, Bubba being Bill Clinton. Was that on your bingo card? Oh! For entertainment purposes only, guys. You know what? Listen. Trump is very confessional. Do you remember how I said his Mercury is in Gemini, in Ardra Nakshatra, which I refer to as drama Ardra. And do you remember I said this ages ago now? I said Trump cannot shut his mouth to save his life. That's his main problem. If Trump could hold his tongue now and again, oh my God, he would be even more dangerous. But he can't. And do you remember when he was standing up on the stage and he mimicked fellatio on the microphone? Do you remember on that microphone? Let me tell you, Orange has done it all and then some. Yeah, he has done it all and then some. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. Let's not forget, you know, before this whole charade, you know, we know the Clintons were pretty close with the Trump clan. Didn't Trump attend their wedding or something like that, or their daughter's wedding? I can't remember. It's a club, guys. I'm not saying the Democrats don't have anything to offer. Clearly some of them do, but that's why I call them, a lot of them, Vaseline Democrats for a reason. For a reason. Yeah, it's all about the money. It's all they care about. These politicians. That's why nothing changes, folks. You change the leaders and you get the same result. Yeah, because they're not interested in people. They need to get AOC on there, Bernie Sanders, you know, Jasmine Crockett, you know, the people that have really been advocating for the people. But we now got Mamdani. But, you know, it's for a reason. Yeah, the billionaires don't want them. Yeah, they want everyone to suffer. Anyway, let's just take a look at the questions because I've spoken quite enough already. Let's see here. Let's see. We've got a question about the ballroom. What about Putin? Federal prosecutors resign, Southern District of Florida. Ooh. Schlossberg in November 1975. Let's look at this one. You know, I like to go international first, and I started out straight away with Trump and reading his chart, didn't I? I wasn't intended to, but you got to go with the flow. This is coming from Nick Minks. She says, in November 1975, a summit at Rambouillet, France, created what is now called G7. What do the cards show for the next decade, and will it survive the chaos that's hit at the moment? Well, remember, the tarot is not very good for timing, and a decade is a very long time, even for astrology. With the astrology, yes, which, you know, I refer to as vertical time. Yeah, so for me, when I'm doing the astrology, I'm reading the algorithm. Yeah, for me, it's like reading the algorithm. Tarot is what I refer to as horizontal knowledge. Yeah, I call astrology vertical knowledge. I call tarot horizontal. It's much more to do with psychology and emotions at the time, particularly at the time that the question's been asked. And that's why I find it is very, very important, particularly when you're reading tarot, to be emotionally neutral. Otherwise, it will skew the cards. So let's just take a general read on the G7. Look at that. Quite interesting, isn't it? The Hierophant came out along with some others. Card of authority and ideology, G7. And then we'll dive into some of the more local questions in the United States. Hope you can hear me okay. You can see the chat scrolling up the side. All right, G7. What's going on at G7? Oh, it was so nice to have a run around on the tennis court today. G7. All right, here we go. At the moment, the G7 here with the Queen of Pentacles is trying to maintain its security. But remember as well, I often refer to the Queen of Pentacles as the domestic electorate. So I think the G7 is probably really focusing and probably a bit worried about the security of its, or the well-being, or rather the disquiet of its people and nations. So if I remember correctly, part of the G7, of course, you have, what is it? Well, you got US, what's it? USA, Canada, England, France, Japan, Germany. Is it Italy as well? Part of the G7. I can't remember, but I know Japan is definitely there. France is having a mayor at the moment, nightmare with the domestic population, because obviously they're running out of budget and all of this stuff. You know, the, shall we say, the teat of Africa has dried up for France, which is causing France a lot of problems. You won't be seeing that on the news, but trust me, that's one of the main reasons. Japan as well has been struggling for quite a while. Their debt to GDP is actually, I think, is the highest out of the G7. If Japan goes, we're all finished, yeah? Because they've brought up everybody's assets and they're one of the main holders of US debt. China's second, I think UK's third. Yeah. Anyway, so look, they're focused on stability. How do we stabilize? However, someone's walking away. What this says to me is with the 8 of Cups, the card of walking away, abandoning something, this suggests that maybe there might be 1 or 2 people that want to leave it. Maybe they're not saying it publicly. But I think this is, in a sense, even more in a kind of metaphorical and economic sense, because China, the rise of China, of course, is so significant. They are very, very dynamic economy. And I think this is more about the rest of the world potentially walking away from the G7, maybe seeing it as less relevant. Yeah. However, they're going to have a good go at rejuvenating things. We've got the Knight of Wands here, which is the card of action and passion. However, the flip side of this card can talk about immaturity and being rash. But, you know, I think they're going to try and rejuvenate things. What the G7 have recognized is that they need to collaborate more. They need more partnership with each other. They need more global trade. They probably need to be doing a bit more work with China. Yeah, so they're looking to make deals. But then ultimately, as the outcome card, they get the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is not a fast card. Obviously, it's the slowest card. You can see here the man has got 1 foot tied up. However, he can set himself free. But the most important thing is the halo around the head, which shows a different perspective. So I think what is, in order for the G7 to continue, they're going to have to be more broad-minded about their trade and partnerships, who they do business with, and they require a change of perspective, because I think the old ways are no longer applying as well. Yep, so that's my read on that. Let's see. Pardon me, who else is in the chat? Carly saying good evening to everyone. Thank you so much, Carly. Someone's saying here, Bunny's saying, thank you, Hogarth, for what you do. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. And please, of course, if you're new to the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe and press the bell notification. And also as well, use the hype button. You know, there's hype now. So if you wouldn't mind hyping my channel, that would be great. Helps it reach a wider audience. Let's slip some liquid here. Oh, a little bit of apple juice with water. All right, let's see who else is in the house. Oh, look here. Hello from Puerto Rico. We have Carmen. And then Patricia, hello from Brooklyn, New York. Oh, I do miss New York. What's this? Leo says Pam Bondi is a long-time twerp lawyer keeping his human trafficking secret. Oh my God. I mean, the thing is, it's like none of this is even a secret anymore. It's just out in the open. Like I said, Trump is dreadful. We know Trump is dreadful, but those around him are worse. They're propping him up. If they all decided that they didn't want Trump anymore, he will be gone in a heartbeat. We all see what happens, yeah, when they don't want you anymore, yeah? When they don't want you anymore, yeah, you kind of get a bit unalived, don't you? When they don't want you anymore, yeah, when the billionaires turn against you and you're no longer useful for them, yeah, they take out the trash. Very much so. Just saying. Let's see what else is here. Oh, hello. There's Edie. She's saying hello. Hi, Hoagie. And then JD is saying hello, everyone. And then we have Susan saying good morning, Hoga, from Australia. Yeah, she's all the way in Australia. That's early for her. So thanks so much for joining in. All right, let's go to the next question here. Now, there's some juicy ones. Oh, yeah, there's the BBC. All right, let's quickly do... Oh, actually, you know what? This Schlossberg, is that how you say it? That's how Nick has written it. I do not know this person at all. She said, JFK's grandson is running for office. Can he repair the damage done by dementia dump and RFK Jr. have begun? Do cards show if this is the start of a new generation for the Kennedys, where they bring change for the better? I'm not sure about that. If America, and in fact, if we want to see a change in global politics, we need to get the money out of it. We need to get the billionaires out of it. There's even quotes by Margaret Thatcher, who ended up being very kind of pro-capitalist, but funny enough, she was a little bit naive about, she didn't really, I'm not trying to make excuses for her, don't get me wrong, but she was very surprised at the greed. She thought people could run things well. But anyway, I remember seeing this documentary with her, and she said once upon a time in the UK, the politicians used to only get budgets for stamps and public transport. Yeah, think about that. And I think they got a little lunch voucher, and that was about it. Once upon a time, when you went into politics, it was for the passion. It was because you really believed in something, not for all the perks. Yeah. Used to be passion. Now it's the perks. Yeah. People want the perks. So let's just see. Schlossberg I've got here. JFK's grandson. Let's just say that. JFK's grandson. What's going on with him? Can he rejuvenate? Trouble is, to campaign in America, you need so much money to do it. I think they should just completely change it, and it can only be raised from personal donations from individuals, and you run the campaign on that. And if you have to do it with horse and buggy, so be it. Because the campaigns are long enough anyway, like 6 months, 8 months of campaigning, you know. Might keep it a little bit more real. Yeah, if they had to kind of do tour bus instead of flying everywhere, I think it should be tour bus, and they go to all the little itty bitty towns along the way. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. The grandson, JFK's grandson. So that's my 6 cents on that. Too much money in politics, and the billionaires skew it in their favor, as we see. Yeah, Pluto in Capricorn. You've heard me talk about that for ages, but it's just so brazenly obvious now, isn't it? I don't get people writing to me in the comments anymore saying, Pluto's in Aquarius, we're all going to be liberated. Don't get that anymore. Yeah. Pluto in Capricorn is interference by companies and oligarchs in the business of government, which is what we have seen brazenly happen. And obviously it became very obvious with Doge and look, all these shutdowns. They're just SOBs, these people. Oh, grand. Starts out promising and then the reading quickly goes downhill. Oh wow, there's 956 of you with me now. Thank you so much. I hope the sound is all right for everyone. I can hear myself, so it normally means you can hear me. All right, let's start up. If we look here, so this grandson has got some major ambitions. Yeah, he really wants to be president one day. We have the Emperor card. This is the card of male authority. This is a card of logic. This is the card of being prepared to do the hard work. This is also the card of being seasoned in battle. So it's quite interesting that the grandson should get this. Yeah, because this is a card associated with maturity, particularly a mature male patriarch. So what this says to me is that it would imply to me that the grandson is older than his years. This is a completely cold read, by the way. I don't even know his name. Nick Minx has written Schlossberg in there, but she could have been taking the piss. She likes to tell a joke in that. So that's, I don't even have a picture. Yeah. But considering that I'm reading on the grandson, you know, that is a very mature outlook. But this, of course, naturally could also be talking about the grandfather. Yeah, which would have been JFK. So he's very obviously interested in the grandfather's legacy and maybe honoring that too. If we look here, the next card is the world card. So this young man has got a global perspective. Yeah, maybe he went to an international school. He'll certainly have international friends, probably quite well traveled, I would imagine. However, the world card also talks about cycles, especially a grand cycle coming to an end and something new beginning. So this could be the ending of an old cycle and the beginning of a new one. Yeah, so there's potential here. However, in the middle section here, we have the Page of Cups, which you know I refer to as stinky fish. So there might be some unpleasant message that comes out. Maybe there is some revelation. Maybe he took some drugs at a party or something like that, and some girlfriend or maybe even boyfriend comes forward with some kind of unpleasant news. So, you know, someone might try and throw a spanner in the works. If they do, it could be a bit fatal. Now, look. This card is a tricky card, yeah, when it shows up. As you know, I associate this card more with death than the death card itself. And of course, in light of him being JFK's grandson, quite a lot of the male line has met with the bullet, yeah, has ended up where? In the mausoleum. So I hope the same doesn't happen to him. What I would suspect, though, this would be probably more someone coming out with something, yeah, an unpleasant message, maybe some allegation, and that maybe puts an end to his campaign. Yeah, that's how I'm seeing it, because he is a young man after all, and I don't think people feel that threatened by the Kennedys anymore. And then the outcome card here is the 8 of Swords. So you can see here the woman is bound up, trying to navigate through those swords. Sometimes a person can feel like a hostage to fortune, or they feel tied up in some kind of way. I think there could be some element of sabotage, but this card also can imply a little bit of self-sabotage as well. So if there are revelations and secrets that come out about him, it's likely something that he may have done in the past, and that has stymied him, or they could even manufacture something. You know what these people are like. They're absolutely ruthless. The second you piss off the billionaires, oh, look who's at the bottom of the deck. There they are. Yeah, the billionaires, King of Pentacles. You know, they're very good at taking out the trash when they want to. Yeah. And then they name a memorial after you, or name a street after you, you know, for your unaliving. That's your reward. Anyway, so that's that. Let's just see. Let's see who else is in the chat, and then I'll read out the next question. So we got a hello from North Texas. Thank you, Tammy, for joining us. I love that everyone comes, and even people in red states as well. A lot of blue dots in red states, but you never know. Maybe the odd red person is even having a bit of a conversion out there. I welcome everyone, as long as they're open-minded and they're polite. Everyone is welcome, because astrology in particular is for everyone. Tarot is for everyone as well. Ah, Lilith, so nice to see you in. We got Sacramento here in the house. And then we got Red Gypsy saying hello all. Texas here as well. And someone's saying here, Angela says, yes, a lot came true that you predicted months ago. Thank you, Angela. Yeah, the astrology. Well, you got member as well. Look, obviously I'm a YouTuber, but as you guys know, I am a full-time astrologer. Like, I do consultations regular. And now, of course, I teach at retreats and stuff like that. And shout out again to everyone that came to my retreat. My God, it was fabulous. You must come to the next one. It's going to be May. We're provisionally going for May 1st. But we need the hotel to confirm. It's going to be Agua Madera again. And I'm currently posting pictures and stuff like that on Instagram. I need to do some more on the other Instagram page, but I'll just show you guys just here that you got some of the composites. Here we are. See, look, all the video. Where you see the video, we were dancing with these headphones on. You know, all these. This is my little compilation. See everyone sitting down for food. It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. All right, let's get on to the next question. Let's have a look here. This is an interesting one. How much time do we have left? Let's see. There's one here, Denise Ferguson. Well, let's see. There's two from Denise. I'm going to go Budapest on this one, Denise. Denise Ferguson says the Budapest Putin/Trump summit was cancelled after a phone call between Sergey Lavrov and Marco Rubio. Now, Sergey Lavrov was also mentioned in the Epstein emails because Epstein was talking with Sergey Lavrov. And do you guys remember a few months ago? And do you remember the question came in and people asked me and they said, was Epstein Mossad? Yeah. Was he working for Israel's Secret Service? And we read the cards and I was like, yes, he is. And I'm sure he's been talking with Russia as well. It's proved he's been talking with Sergey Lavrov. Sergey Lavrov is, what is he? He was the International Affairs, something like that, minister. Anyway, I'll read the rest of the question. So Denise again. The Budapest Putin/Trump summit was cancelled after a phone call between Sergey Lavrov and Marco Rubio. Lavrov was missing at the Russian Security Council meeting. He's been sidelined by Putin from leading Russia in the G20 summit later this month. Is Lavrov ill, or has he been fired by Putin? Or has he fallen out of a window? Let's have a look. If we get the Four of Swords, which you know is my card for death or endings, but also as well the ending of a career, then we will know his career has been ended. But you know how they do it in Russia. You know, you fall out of a window. It's called defenestration, by the way, when you're thrown out of a window. And then, of course, there's always a bit of Novichok as well, which can be rubbed on doorknobs and handles, but it's a bit messy, that one. You might not get the right person. So I think they prefer the window. Then that way they're more sure, aren't they? Who they have for entertainment purposes only. All right, Lavrov. What's going on with Sergey Lavrov? He's got a very long face. Looks a bit like Nosferatu, but a bit chubbier. For entertainment purposes only. Sergey Lavrov. Let's see, is he still around? Sergey Lavrov. You know, Putin is having a sweat, yeah, because Ukraine have damaged lots of their oil and pipeline and petrol infrastructure. And of course, winter is coming. Russian winters are no joke, but so far in Europe, winters have been quite mild, so you never know. Nature might spare them, but I think by December, January, even Russia, you know, they will get cold. Oh dear. Oh. All right. Let's just put it this way. Let me have a slurp of liquid. Oh, over 1,000 of you. Judging by these cards, I don't think Lavrov is in a good way. You'll see. All right. Straight out of the gate, we have the Queen of Swords. And this is a card. Obviously, it's a female archetype, but it doesn't always mean a female. This is a card of rationality, logic, but also sharpness and astuteness. This could actually talk about Lavrov himself. Seems to be pretty on it. However, the shadow of this card can be sharp critique. Yeah, maybe certain someone is not pleased with his performance. And as you know, when I'm talking about Putinchka, he has the male and female archetype. Not that he's effeminate. Putin's not effeminate. What I mean is that within him, he has mastered both modalities. This is why he can also show up as the emperor or the empress. For me, they're both Putinchka. Yeah. Too long to explain, and I can't even go into detail about him because whenever I do, my video gets jammed or I get technical issues. In fact, where's my obsidian? Hold on to my obsidian. Anyway, if we look here, we get the Seven of Swords, which is what? Trying to steal something, trying to get away with something, sneaking off. Maybe Lavrov was just talking to too many people. Maybe his tongue got a little bit too loose. Or maybe could he have been a double agent? Ooh, yeah. Ooh, now we're getting really into some interesting territory. Now, if you look at that. Here, Ten of Swords. Oh, this is a disaster. Yep. At the very least, he feels like he's been stabbed at the back. This could also mean something is ended. I think what is, there was someone sharp and astute that has been paying a lot of attention to Lavrov, and he's been up to maybe some shady behavior, and he's been called out on it. I mean, look, literally, that could literally mean being dead as well. If we look here, the next card is the Eight of Wands, which means everything is moving forward at pace. Also has a lot to do with business, things going through the air, but it's also associated with emails. The Epstein emails, yeah? Let's put him in a pickle. Look at that. The outcome card is the devil. Yeah, so I think what's come out in the Epstein emails has also put Lavrov in a bit of a tricky position. The man of compromat may be compromised himself. Yeah, so not looking good for him. Let's just see if he shows up in public. If he doesn't, then we can assume maybe the worst has happened, or he's at least been retired. All right, so let's look at that. Here, Denise Ferguson's asked the questions about two federal prosecutors. So two federal prosecutors have resigned in the Southern District of Florida, refusing to do Duck's bidding. Unfortunately, the DOJ has found one that will. Plans are to use the grand jury in Judge Eileen Cannon's courtroom to indict President Obama for the Russia investigation. Are you joking? Will Duck Larange be successful in pulling this off? And how will the public react? Oh my God. All right, Duck Larange versus Barack Obama. Will the duck be successful? This guy's... Oh. Like I said, do you remember I said on the live show the other day, I said if Duck Larange ran the economy as well as he held a grudge, yeah, if he held the economy as well as he held a grudge, America would never have to worry. Yeah, this man is meticulous when it comes to grievance. And that can be the shadow as well of having Saturn in the sign of Cancer, which is what Trump has got in the 12th house. He really holds a grudge. Because the natural inclinations of Saturn are somewhat debilitated. He officially debilitates the sign of Aries, but what is Saturn is the planet of detachment, cool detachment. He can accept the realities of life. When he's in the sign of Cancer, he holds on to everything. He's sensitized to everything. Yeah, Trump really does keep a record of his grievances. Oh, gee whiz. But at the same time, he's obsessed with Obama as well. Any road. All right. Dr. Orange versus Obama. Will he be successful? Dr. Orange versus Obama. Will he be successful? Very interesting. All right, here we go. Here we go with the cards. Dr. Orange versus Obama. If Trump starts this, he is going to set off a chain of events, of endings and transformation that he will not potentially be able to control. Tackling the BBC and ordinary people and all of this kind of stuff is one thing. Taking on President Obama, yeah, former President Obama, who himself was a lawyer or attorney. His wife, Michelle, was one of the best attorneys. Obama can get such legalese that they will just thrash any of those. Imagine Thingy Bob Hubba going up against some top New York lawyer with some feeble, flimsy flim-flam that they'll only have. So if Trump goes up against Obama, for me, it's almost like him signing his own death warrant, because remember, what's going to happen? You're going to have disclosure. You have to prove that it's so everyone's like, all right, let's get all the documents then. Let's dig out even more of those files. Yeah. Not a good idea, Duck. Just not a good idea. Your first card was the death card, Duck Larange. Like, reel your neck in, as we would say in the UK. But anyway, his neck is as thick as brass anyway, that man. So if we look here, look. In the obstacle position, it's so obvious. We have the Five of Swords, yeah, which is the card of what? Abuse of power. This is just Duck Larange abusing his power, of course. If we look here, the next card we have is the King of Swords. Now, this isn't Duck. I think this could be actually Obama himself. The King of Swords is one of the most intelligent in the deck. Yeah, the King and Queen of Swords, they're very sharp. They are very astute. This is why this card, I also associate this card with accountancy as well, and also lawyers, legalese. So this could also be Obama's stance on this is like, bring it on, dude. I will just bring the best lawyers to heel. I mean, can you imagine Trump standing up in the court case against Obama, and Obama, being the natural orator he is, would just proclaim from the witness stand with his withering critiques. I mean, look, Trump, you can take on a lot of people, but Obama, like, come on, dude. Even for you, this is out there in the realms of cray. Yeah, I don't know who's putting you up to this, dude, but you need to throw a glass of cold water over their face, because this is not a good idea. If we look here, we get the Queen of Cups, yeah, and as Lady G would say, what is in her crucible of abominations? So what would happen is, in the disclosure process, there will be all sorts of secrets that would come out. What would also happen if he took on Obama, who, like I said, is a natural orator? A courthouse is also a house of theater. Once you have live camera stuff and all of that stuff, and Obama being Obama, and then Trump being a Trump, and whatever douchebag he's going to have standing up there who got their law degree off the back of a cereal packet, Yeah, and then Obama's going to have the top brass and his own lawyer skills, and then Michelle Obama in his back pocket, well, not back pocket, to help him. He will still be getting the briefings, by the way. I mean, this is madness. Anyway, they do that, all the secrets, even more secrets come out. And what effect will this have on Duck L'Orange? Oh dear, the tower. It will be a disaster if he took it on. If we see here, what's important with this tower, it's struck by lightning. Now remember, I also refer to this, I associate this card with Uranus. Uranus is currently going retrograde. Uranus is what? The god of lightning and electricity. He is moving back closer to the star Algol, the star of betrayal. Yeah, so it's not wise. If Duck L'Orange actually does this, it's just I think it's just going to be a disaster. Whoever's advising him just needs to stop. You know, Pam Bondi. Anyway, all of this douchebaggery. So let's see here. Let's squeeze one more in. This is from Manuela Orchid. She says, hello, Hoagie. My question for today would be, if you think that in 2026 the big balloon will pop and we finally find out who really is behind the dark, nasty scenery and world events, it's the billionaires. Who actually manipulated every country, it's the billionaires. Where those could get advantage of it all in all kinds of ways, the billionaires. Money, minerals, or other. Do you think we finally get to know who the real bad ones are? Thank you for a lovely weekend. Well, they've revealed themselves. It's the billionaires. It's corporate interest. This is what I'm saying with this Pluto in Capricorn. That's why I keep on laboring the point, because it's true. Now it's just blatantly obvious. For one, it's beyond everyone. It's beyond denial, isn't it? The billionaires. Yeah, Capricorn deals with government, but it's also big business, top-down structures. Pluto deals with what? Plutocracies is where we get that word from. Pluto deals with the underbelly. Yeah, it's god of the underworld. He's also the planet of extremes of wealth. With Pluto, Pluto can make a person so rich that their money cannot even be counted. But it also deals with huge debts. Yeah, Pluto, I feel it was a massive mistake when they downgraded Pluto from planet to dwarf planet. If I could wave a magic wand, I'd have him upgraded back up to his rightful status, because he is one powerful planet. Might move slowly, but he really packs a punch. So yeah, so basically it's the billionaires. But look, you guys know I've been discussing at length the AI bubble. The AI bubble is already bursting, by the ways, guys. But like I said, they are playing the music on the Titanic. But you also remember as well, I said, while Jupiter is above Trump's Saturn, I said, everything going on with the economy, they're not going to be able to deny it for much longer. I said, even Fox News at some point is going to have to admit the truth. Because you can't, if America's in recession and everyone's losing their jobs, there's only so long you can go, it's the Democrats, it's the Democrats. It's just so absurd and cartoonish and ridiculous. It's like a really bad movie. It's like a really bad script from Airplane. Airplane was funnier. It had more intelligence. This is just dumb shit. Just dumb. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Anyway, the big burst, yeah? Now, as you know, I've already given you guys a prediction on this. I think it's going to happen in the Rahu Ketu Dasha of the United States. The official start of that Dasha is the 26th of March, 2026. However, remember that energy starts 3 months before. So we're already getting it, especially by Thanksgiving. There's going to be even more news. By Christmas, there'll be more news. Definitely New Year, it's going to be like, And then by the time it really does kick in, that could be the, yeah. Anyway. US economy, and then I'll close US economy. What's going on with the big pop? By the way, of the S&P 500, the Fantastic Seven, which are those tech companies, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, ChatGPT, they make up over 30% of the total of the S&P 500 in terms of value. Nvidia has been valued at 5 trillion. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. So when this pops, yeah, it's going to affect a lot of things. Like, as you guys know, I've been saying to everyone, get that spare food in. And many of you have followed my advice, rice, beans, and all of this kind of stuff. But also as well, get gold, silver and gold. In times of crisis, everyone turns to God's money. Yeah, that's why I think gold is what, over $4,000 per ounce now. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, if we look here, the US economy. Yes, they're still playing the music on the Titanic. People are still clanging away. This is still the investors investing on all of these chips and all of that kind of stuff, completely divorced from reality. Yeah, more and more people are starting to reject the AI, and all those people that they've been laying off, they've been asking them to come back. Oh, surprise, surprise. Guess it turns out the AI doesn't work so well after all. Yeah. Anyway, you know my opinions on AI, but look, people are still clanging away. However, and that was the 8 of Pentacles. In the 9 of Swords, we see the truth of what's actually going on. This is in the obstacle position. There are a lot of people that are worried. I am not the only one who's saying it is a bubble. Many experts are saying this is a bubble. The Bank of England are saying this is a bubble. I think it was today or yesterday. Did you see that BlackRock had 100% loss on some real estate venture thing that they backed? 100% worthless. This is BlackRock, yeah, who are responsible for a lot of the wickedness in the world, by the way. God, they need a bit of drowning over there, but for entertainment purposes only. But look, the worry is starting to come. If we look down here, we've then got the 4 of Cups, which is like in the options that are on the table. Yeah, remember, they're still playing the music on the Titanic, but no one's sure what to do. You've got all of these billionaires that are just like, more data centers, yeah, more. Even though that they drain, you know, one data center can use the same amount of electricity that a big city can use in a year. Yeah, and they'll drain all the water and pollute it more. Even though people are saying, not sure about this. Yeah, so not liking the options on the table. This could also talk about particularly the American citizens as well, who are going around trying different things, but nothing's working. Yeah, cost of living is too high. But look, there's something coming out here from the sky, something unpredictable. If we look here, we then get the 6 of Swords, which is a card of about moving to smoother waters. As you guys know, I also predicted, I said a lot of Americans will start moving abroad. Yeah. When the economy goes down, even more Americans will leave. In fact, quite a few of my clients have left the mainland. One is now living in Portugal with her son. Another one is in Hawaii. And other people have been moving as well. It's ridiculous. And you guys remember I said, look, either officially or unofficially, either hard separation or soft separation. I said the blue states will secede either formally or softly because they'll have no other choice. Yeah, this is a card of separation of distance, moving to smoother waters. You know, California is the 4th largest economy in the world on its own. You think they're going to sink if they decide to kind of call it a day and just flick the bird to those douchebags in the regime? You know, Gavin will pull the trigger. You know, Gavin will pull the trigger. He means it. I've seen his chart, as you heard me say. He'll either be the president of the United States or he'll be the president of his own country. A lot can happen, yeah, from now until then. And then look here. This is the American people, yeah, the 8 of Swords, feeling what? Tied up, unable to move, feeling like a hostage to fortune. Everything is too expensive. Yeah, because they did huge stimulus over COVID. They pumped a lot of money into the system, and that always causes inflation. When you have too much money chasing too few assets. We also had record low interest rates. So everyone, you know, wanting to work remotely, bought themselves out a little house somewhere in the country, working remotely, and it's all become a gigantic bubble. Yeah. So it's It's not looking good. Yeah. But as you know, I've spoken about this at length. So get yourself some physical gold. I'm not talking paper gold. I mean like some physical gold. Yeah. Let me just find you a little something. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh. I'm not going to share my entire gold collection with you guys, but it doesn't have to be massive. So maybe look, little coins, yeah, little bits of gold like this. What gold does, remember, it is the heart of a star. Gold is far along on the periodic table, and the reason why we have all the elements that we do is because a star died at some point. One of the last things produced in the dying process of a star is gold. It really is the heart of a star. And gold for centuries, thousands of years, is used to preserve your wealth. So you're not going to be going out buying loaves of bread with this. That's what the silver is for. Yeah, I've got some silver on my little altar there as well. They say silver is for groceries, yeah, and gold is for like big purchases. It's when the whole what buffalo pile hits the fan, and everyone is going batshit, yeah, because this big Nvidia bubble and all the other bullshit that's coming just completely falls apart. When you have a bit of gold, it becomes that store of value. At some point when you need $1,000 to buy a loaf of bread, yeah, you're going to look at that gold, and then that gold can be used to purchase millions worth or property. It's what happened in the Weimar Republic and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so gold is just a protector of your wealth. I probably need to buy a little bit more, to be honest. I mean, look, I'm not like Fort Knox. I'm not going to be having like cupboards full of gold bars. I can't even afford that anyway, but I just have a little bit because it actually protects your wealth. It preserves it, and it gives you peace of mind. Yeah, it gives you peace of mind. There is also talk as well that the regime may even revalue the price of gold, because they've got a lot of gold in storage, which is still priced at the old value, which is like $63 per ounce or whatever. It's now over $4,000 per ounce, so they could do something like that. Anyway, I don't want to get too long into the weeds on that one, but I hope you guys enjoyed the show. So please like and subscribe and press the bell notification if you are new, and hype as well. That would be great. And if you want more videos behind the scenes or things that I can't talk about on YouTube, then of course consider joining my membership. Many of you have, so I'm very pleased with that. And here I'll just give like 1ACL says they've killed 7 to 9 fishermen so far in violation of international law. Yeah, Trump does not care a jot. So I will leave it there. Thank you everyone so much for the chat. What's this here? Rainbow Land says, I've been having dreams of people in the streets with heads on sticks for the past few months. Yeah, it's going to happen. And let's just see here. Sue says, regarding SNAP benefits, heard he and cohort are going to require them to reapply for SNAP. Oh, you are joking. Wow, he and cohort will decide if they will qualify for benefits. How mean and cruel this inhuman being is. Yeah, there you go. They take pleasure in it, folks. But sorry about that. So let's just see how it goes. Like I said, have your rice, have your beans, no panic. Learn how to can, how to make kombucha, or these little tricks. Remember I said the old ways are coming back. People are going to learn the old ways. People are going to start foraging again and stuff like that. What I was shown is that 2026 and 2027 are not about big, they're about small. They're about small and intimate. Do you remember my little thing with 3-eye atlas? So let's see how it goes, folks. I'm going to leave it there. I should get some sleep. Thank you everyone for joining me, and I will see you next time. Yeah, all right, so bye-bye for now. Big love.